I've done my fair share of hiking and long distance patrols, and life is a long distance patrol.
For sure.
Combat is no different than hiking the Appalachian Trail. It's the same. The principles remain the same.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I did want to bring that up before we got off here that you have hiked the Appalachian Trail, and I know you were starting or doing at least part of the Pacific Crest Trail, correct?
Right. And I finished 75, 80% of it. And I ran into fires last year, 2021. I came across the fires in Northern Cal, shut me down. I did half of it, 1,300 miles last year. I went back to do it to finish it this year, and I did 600 miles, and I came across some other issues. And I'm going to go back next year and reattempt the entire thing again next year.
Man, what's your estimated timeline for doing the Pacific Crest Trail?
I think 4 to 5 months. I can do that. I think it's different. The Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, they have different personalities. They're totally different. And that's why I love doing, you asked me earlier about, do I miss my days back, whatever I did back in time? I found new things to challenge myself. And that's what we need to continuously do, is challenge ourselves personally to find what works for us. And long distance hiking works for me.
I'm jealous, man. I think that's an awesome thing. I remember, again, growing up in Tennessee, I was in Boy Scouts, and we did a part of the Appalachian Trail. And I always thought, I was like, man, people hike this whole thing. That's so crazy,
It's a test, brother.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's a challenge. It's Delta ANS every day, man, believe it or not. There comes periods of time where you want to do the QUIT. There's no more times. It tests you.
Was there a stretch of the Appalachian Trail that was harder than the rest for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there definitely was. And I think the Whites, New Hampshire was tough. The White Mountains in the Northeast, to me, are some of the most rugged terrain you'll encounter in the lower 48s. New Hampshire's tough, man.
Really?
New Hampshire's tough. If you can hike New Hampshire, if you can hike the Whites, you can hike anywhere in the world. That's just my humble opinion. I'll take anyone into the Whites any day of the week and just crush them. Yeah. It's just up and down. It's in your face. The Whites are in your face.
How did that compare to the Sierra Nevadas, though, when you're hiking the Pacific Crest?
Yeah, the Sierra Nevadas, I think, the Sierra Nevadas Pacific Crest Trail, a lot of those trails were originally horse trails. People used those for moving horses. So horses require a certain type of path. There's a lot of switchbacks, long, ever-winding switchbacks in the Sierras. In the Whites in New Hampshire, these trails, you're climbing, man. You're just going straight up. So elevation changes are much more drastic and intense.
That's crazy.
On the East Coast.
That's surprising to hear because I've done a lot of hiking out here. I've hiked across Zion, which is like 45 miles. I've done some hiking Mount Baldy and stuff here in Southern California. And man, that altitude will get you sometimes. When you get up in the mountains, like obviously Utah wasn't like that, but when you get up in the mountains of like the Sierra Nevadas, 10,000 feet is no joke,
Right. No, 10,000 feet, 12,000. But you acclimatize, you work your way up. I think the elements are much more severe on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
As well, you're dealing with totally different environment, different climate, like rain, humidity, heat. In southern, you could time it. The Pacific Crest Trail, it rained on me one time.
Oh wow!
In the 2 months when I did it last year, I had one rain day. One day that was a suck fest. I consider that a suck fest. I was pretty wet, miserable. But one day, other than that, weather was nice. Not a lot of bugs.
So when you're hiking the Pacific Crest Trail compared to the Appalachian Trail, would you say your loadout's less then? If you're not experiencing that, you know, the different weather events that you may experience on the East Coast, are you carrying less stuff going up the PCT?
I carry about the same.
Okay.
I think it comes down to level of experience of hiker.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing what your essentials, what you need and what you don't need.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point knowing what I need and what I don't need. And that only comes through experience.
For sure.
I try never to go above 20 pounds in my backpack.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm an ultralight hiker. I don't carry a lot. I don't go above 20 pounds.
Are you one of the guys that jog half the trail? I mean,
no, but I walk fast. I travel light. I don't like carrying a lot of weight. You don't need to carry a lot.
So I assume then you pre-stage stuff, or you have stuff set to be sent to you at certain time phases or whatever?
I have done that.
Yeah.
That helps. But it comes down to reconnaissance. This is going back to the basics, doing your route study.
Yeah.
Life is a patrol, and you have to do your planning and your map reconnaissance and studying your resupply points along the way. And you're going to come across road intersections that lead to towns, and you need to know where you can get your goods from.
For sure.
Where you can get your supplies from. And something that's on the Appalachian Trail, those supply points are a lot more readily than the Pacific Crest Trail.
Yeah, for sure.
So Appalachian Trail, there's always hiker towns. You can always come off trail, hike into town or hitch into town, get your ramen, your oatmeal, your packets of tuna, and get back on the trail. And on the Pacific Crest Trail, it requires a little bit more in-depth and intense map reconnaissance and planning.
Oh, yeah, because you're out in the middle of nowhere in some of these mountains. You know, this is real wilderness. People may not realize, but when you get out in some of these mountain areas in California and, you know, eastern Nevada and stuff, you're in real wilderness.
Oh, yeah. I came across a couple pucker
western
situations.
Nevada.
Yeah, I came across a couple near avalanche situations where I had to backtrack 30 miles.
Oh, shit.
And I almost hyped out, hypothermia this last time. There are a couple situations where I almost tapped out, where I'm like, oh boy, I had one of those moments where, and I'm alone and unafraid. Mm-hmm. And I have no comms. I don't have HF comms on my back. I don't have a QRF or a CH-47 standing by where I can just toss up a star cluster and it's coming back to my disposal. Mm-hmm. No, I'm alone out there, no communications, by myself, and I need to make a smart decision. Do I keep going across this ice field knowing that there's a high probability it might collapse on me and I can end up 2,000 feet in a Never Never Land? Knowing that my objective is 10 miles away on the other side, and I've already gone 50 miles. That's where the ego comes into play. You know, or do I backtrack 30 miles and go around?
Man, that's a tough call.
Oh, it's a tough call. And I had to make the call. I backtracked. Knowing that my objective was only 10 miles past this ice field. And there was no way around it, man. I looked at it, I assessed it, and listeners might be saying, well, couldn't you have just gone around it? That's easy to say. It's easier said than done. Mm-hmm. You gotta be the boots on the ground. And for me, I'm on this peak. It's ugly, man. Weather's unpredictable, and me going around would require equipment that I did not have.
For sure. Yeah, people that would ask a question like that have probably never been in the mountains, and the mountains are unforgiving.
Mother Nature's unforgiving.
It's just gonna let you know where you stand in the world if you try to do something that's outside of your purview, you know?
That's Mother Nature. That's why I love living where I do in Costa Rica, because it keeps my head on a swivel. Being aware, situational awareness. You need to be complacency kills. That's why I love living where I do.
Two more questions about your long distance hiking, and then I'll let you go. What brand and what kind of shoes are you wearing for something like this? Like, what do you? Because I want to know what you're wearing, because obviously it must work. Two, what kind of pack do you use?
Yeah, so great questions. Those are part of the big three. Big three being your shoes, your backpack, and your sleeping bag.
Mm.
So those are part of the big three. And mobility, we know mobility is very important, which is our footwear. And I like Hoka's. Hoka's have a thicker sole. And I just wear running shoes. They're trail shoes. I don't wear your traditional hiking boot. A lot of many listeners might be familiar with different type of assault boots. Solos are popular. Merrells. I just wear
Solomon.
I wear trail running shoes, and I wear Hoka's. And Hoka's have a thicker sole. There's a movement we know. I think it's called the wide toe box, the zero drop shoes, the minimalist shoes. Yeah, I'm a little bit averse to those. I like having something underneath my feet, a little bit of cushion.
Oh, for sure.
To compress. I mean, you're walking on rugged terrain, man. You know, anything to preserve my body. So I wear Hoka speed goats. They're called Hoka speed goats. And I love Hokas. They've upped my hiking game. Remember, too, I'm only carrying 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So if I was carrying a load, 40, 50 pounds, I would probably have a shoe with ankle support. But considering I'm not carrying that type of weight, I'm okay with a running shoe. Also, I incorporate a lot of stability work in my daily training program. So I'm doing a lot of ankle stability. I'm doing a lot of support work for my knees, for my tendons, to strengthen those areas. So that will allow me to get away with running shoes. I do a lot of ankle calf work, a lot of strengthening exercises. So that's my go-to shoe, Hoka's Speed Goats 5.0. For my backpack, I use, what was my latest? I was using Ultimate Direction, a brand Ultimate Direction, and it was more of a backpack vest. It had a lot of pockets on the front.
Yeah, ultra runners use those.
Ultra runners use those. So I tried that one this past go around, and it worked out well. Ultimate Direction. There's Hyperlight. That's another type of backpack, and then Z-Pack. Z-Pack is a very good lightweight, ultralight backpack. Ultralight hikers like to use Z-Pack. So you have Z-Pack, a brand called Hyperlight, Ultimate Direction. I try to keep my backpacks less than 1 pound.
Oh, wow.
These are garbage bag light, man. And they're nothing sexy. It's just a lightweight backpack on your.
Interesting. Well, it makes sense when you're traveling 1,000+ miles. You know, you're measuring stuff probably in grams at that point.
I'm measuring everything. Everything I measure, I scale. What ounces, grams, my food. Everything has a purpose. I'm not carrying anything non-essential. Everything I like to think has multiple purposes. So water. I carry a quilt, a lightweight quilt, almost like a poncho liner. So.
Do you carry a spot device or one of the GPS like rescue devices?
I do. A Garmin Mini.
Okay.
Yeah.
For something like what you're doing, that seems like a necessity. I mean.
Yeah. I did carry it last year. I neglected carrying it this year. I figured I had my phone, and I kicked myself in the ass for not having it, because when I did come across that avalanche situation, I assessed it, and one of my criteria was if I had that Garmin device, I probably would have went for it.
Mm.
I would have turned it on at the time and crossed that ice field.
Yeah.
But I didn't have it with me.
Yeah.
So, because that's a safety feature.
For sure.
Those Garmin's are pretty good because it works off satellites, and it's a subscription base. So
Yeah.
you pay for the service, and it's pretty much, you have good comms. And I always have my sister serves as my rear, my recon rear per se, and I would check in with her a couple times a day and give her where I'm located at.
Yeah.
Or if I'm about to cross a dangerous area, I would go, hey, I'm checking in with you. This is where I'm at. Expect to hear back from me in 3 hours. So no, they're a great device. I didn't carry it this time, but yeah, I carry them with me.
Yeah, I feel like something like that would definitely be key, especially because you're doing it alone. You know, even with other people, it would be a smart thing to have. But when you're alone,
yeah,
I mean, anything could happen, and that right there could definitely save a life.
It's a force multiplier. Like I said, I neglected in carrying it this time. For whatever reasons I did, and my after action, I should have carried it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go home without it. I'm not going to leave again without it.
Yeah. Yeah, I use a more traditional pack. I have the Osprey. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of the newer. I got it like probably 4 or 5 years ago. But it's what I like about it too is the top pouch on the pack is also an assault pack, or like the little pack, you know, which is great because you could just drop that and then go summit. You know, it's a good summit bag or something like that. So it's interesting to hear that you're using lighter bags or ultra marathon runner vest style kind of things to go for these like long, what some people would think you need to carry a bunch of stuff so that you could survive through the Appalachian Trail, which that's really kind of the opposite mindset. You're trying to make time while carrying the essentials.
Yes, it's really refocused how I carry gear and equipment now. Looking back with how I carried gear as a reconnaissance Marine, I would have, knowing what I know now, I would have changed so many different things back then with gear. I hopefully they've changed. There's so much lighter gear on the market and different ways of doing things. You can reduce your weight in half. Seriously. Ounces equals pounds equals time, man.
Yeah.
You know,